What's going on? It's your boy CJ Goodfella. Actually doing a video that's pretty much out of my scope of support, but being a huge Tupac fan growing up, I mean, he's the greatest rapper that I ever heard, all-time favorite rapper, all that good stuff. I feel like it's justice for me to do the movie review on All Eyez On Me. Never did a movie review before. So, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. It wasn't any ugly in this movie. Just to say it wasn't really anything bad, but no spoiler alerts though. But to start off, there's really no spoiler alerts anyway. But it started off talking about his upbringing. How he started, out in New York, and his mother was part of the Black Panther movement. While she was incarcerated with him for that she beat the case. She beat her case. She was pregnant with him. Incarcerated while she was pregnant with Tupac, and it showed their his tough life growing up in New York and hopping around from New York to Baltimore to eventually in his late teenage years growing up in Oakland. And it chronicled most of the major things that went on in his life. The major events. And how he got his break with Digital Underground and Shock G. How the girl out in Oakland, hooked him up for an audition, and they signed him on the spot. He had to, pay his dues, and after seeing some things that happened in his life, he wanted to really make an impact and not have to go through paying his dues, being a hype man, carrying DJ equipment on the stage and shit like that, and he recorded, Brenda Had His Baby. That's the one they spotlighted, off his first CD, and it was showing how they were shopping that CD around. How it was. A lot of it just shows you the in-depth details of how the record label works. He went to Interscope to shop his shopping his album around, and I guess they didn't really show a lot of record companies turning him down. But what they really did do was show, they said it. This is why everybody's turning around, because Brenda Has the Baby. He told them his vision on that, and played the song and had them really, visualize what he was saying in that song. You understand? And it just shows you how record labels is. They don't even want to dumb down the shit. They don't want the positive stuff, and that's what sells nowadays as well. But back on topic, shows his his rise. After doing Juice, how he blew up, and all his albums, Strictly for My Niggas, Tupacalypse, Tupacalypse, Strictly for My Niggas, all blew up, went platinum. And how his stunning role in Juice, really propelled his career, and he really in the movie he really made a point of emphasis, and they said after the CD came out, this is how you blew up. He said, no, I blew up, because of Juice. That's really what made me get a lot of notoriety. And I must say, Demetrius Shipp Jr. We did an excellent job playing Tupac. He said he got the role in 2011, and since then he was working at Sam's Club, and in California he's working at Target and trying to pursue his dream of being a record producer. The irony is his dad, Demetrius Shipp Sr., produced "Toss It Up" for Tupac. He produced that song for Tupac, and it's the irony that his son looks just like him, to most people. And then, it continues on, at how everything chronicled up, how he, rubbed shoulders with the wrong people that eventually shot him, and he blamed Biggie for that. It showed him, more of an in-depth relationship that him and Biggie had, more than Notorious had. Notorious was a solid movie, but it wasn't, the acting wasn't like this movie. And the budget wasn't like this movie. Everything was on point. Everybody was a great actor. I'm going to say great actor, but everybody was a good actor. There was no weak links in this movie amongst the major roles of actors. Everybody played their part in this film. And they chronicled his relationship with Biggie and how Biggie warned him about the guys that he was rubbing shoulders with, and how he figured out that they set him up once, he heard the song in jail. He was talking about it. And this is the crazy part about it right quick. Notorious, they made the portrayal and made most people believe that Pac came out with Hit 'Em Up first. You know what I'm saying? But, how the Tupac movie did, Biggie came out with "Who Shot You First?" Because he tried to come to the hospital to see Pac, and that's the brothers, the Nation of Islam. I think that's who he's rolling with. Said that they wouldn't let Biggie in. He found out it was a setup. Had him moving out the hospital early, and he didn't trust Biggie. After that, and Puffy, he didn't make any appearances in this movie as an actor. Obviously, he didn't have any appearances in this movie. Maybe because of legal, guidelines, or whatever. But a lot of people look at Puffy as a smiling dude, but he's really a street dude and has done a lot of gruesome things. And I wouldn't have put it past him to take out Pac or even take out Biggie as well for financial gain. But not saying he did it allegedly. I'm just saying, he has a track record of violence, especially with the Shine case and beating his son's conditioning coach as well. But, back to the movie, and it shows like how he did Suge a favor, Suge kind of did him a favor and let him hop on the Above the Rim soundtrack. It showed him acting in the Above the Rim and how the guys he was rolling with that end up, popping him, was helping him play the role of a New York, street dude, and giving him all types of gifts and stuff, and eventually how they set him up for his downfall. Cameos in this movie as well. Deshaun Jackson, former wide receiver for the Eagles, Redskins, and current wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was in this movie. Mano, the former rapper, I think he's out of Brooklyn, he was in this movie. It was a lot of little cameos that they got people spot. D-Ray was in the movie, early in the movie as well. I think a lot of people didn't pay as well. And I must say, the lady who played Shakur, I'm sorry if I butchered her name, I'm bad with names. She was definitely awesome and definitely played the role to the T. I think, right up there with the Demetrius Shipp Jr. who played Tupac, her role was good. Biggie's son, I think that's who played Biggie again. His role was excellent once again. He really did a hell of a job in Notorious and really made that movie as great as it was. And the bad thing about Notorious was that, they portrayed Pac kind of bold and shit in that movie. I just didn't like the way they let Anthony Mackie play Pac. But, it is what it is, and it goes on to chronicle everything, past that. When he joined with Death Row and how his image kind of changed. He was more of a positive rapper that tried to reach the people with his words that had a message behind his music. And it showed how he turned his career, talking about, women and, at that point before he got with Death Row, I get around and people were kind of criticizing him for that. And the guy, I forget his name, he's a good actor, who was actually doing an interview while he was in jail with him and telling his story. He did an excellent job. He's one of my favorite actors when he does get a role. And they showed all that, and they portrayed how him in relationship with Jada Pinkett happened when they both was in high school before he moved out to Oakland. The lady that played Jada Pinkett did an awesome job as well. It showed him how he had a real relationship with Quincy Jones' daughter as well, and how she begged him to stay before he went out in Vegas after beating up the guy that was supposed to be with Bad Boy, who jumped one of the Death Row dudes and took his chain. It showed him how she didn't want him to go, and he almost didn't go, and he ended up, going, and, eventually we know what happens after that. So, it had a lot of cameos. The bad that I thought was the guy that played Snoop Dogg, but actually, once I took a second look at the screenshot, that dude actually did look like Snoop with his hair out, so I did make a bad call on there right there. But once he braided up, did very well, and it actually showed how him and Tupac wasn't on good terms. At the end of the movie, and he was, Snoop Dogg said, I know me and Pac ain't on good terms because he kind of said he had a good relationship with Biggie and Puffy. And how Pac felt about Biggie and Puffy after the little shooting and stuff, and how he felt like Biggie bit his hand. It's a funny episode. You're gonna see that with Snoop how that played out as well, and also, it was just an excellent movie, I must say. It chronicled a lot of different things that I just couldn't cover in this time as well. But it's no spoiler alerts in this movie. If you live through it, you pretty much know, how his life ended up chronicling, how it goes down from, where he was moving to and all the stuff that he went through and he had been through. His different relationships that you might not have, how he tried to leave Death Row. But Suge, if you know anything about Death Row, had all of those guys, they assets tied to him. The houses, the cars, the clothes was in Suge Knight's name. And one of the reasons that Dr. Dre left was it wasn't an conducive environment for him to be successful. and he let Suge have all the masters because they was partners. He left. It didn't get into Tupac really dogging Dre like that in this movie, but it did get into when Pac asked to leave Suge, and Suge said, "You got all this, you owe me. I didn't need to recoup that." And then Suge offered him to start Death Row East, and pretty much that's pretty much the downslope of this. But it was an excellent movie. Out of 10, I give it a solid 9 or 8.5.